Hey Ron, I've been seeing a lot of things on social media about this BRRRR concept in real estate. Can you tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about that and what you think of it?
Yeah. Well, let me see. It's BRRRR or whatever. Burr. I see a lot of video. I see mostly young people on there touting Burr. Burr stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. Nothing could be farther from the way you want to get rich in this country. In fact, that's a good way to prepare yourself for bankruptcy court. And I'm about to tell you why. BRRRR is a recipe for disaster. And I can't tell you how many people I've seen go down and have to start all over because of BRRRR. So let's start from the beginning. Buy, I'm all for that. Okay, I'm all for that. And when they say buy, they're talking about buying the junkers that you have to rehab. So in this case, buying does mean you have to go raise cash, which means you either have to write the check. Well, first you better learn how to buy, because if you pay too much, you're screwed already before you even get started on this system. So you got to learn how to buy. Then you got to either pay cash out of your pocket or you got to borrow money from a private lender. Both are okay, but borrowing money from a private lender is another lesson, which of course I teach and you know, I did 15 years. I was that private lender, and I brokered for other people for being a private lender. Love private lending. It's part of this. In fact, it's inherent in the junker business. Private lending is how you're going to get your money, and I mean non-recourse private lending. I mean you don't guarantee the debt, you don't fill out an application, you don't go to the bank. So I'm not against private lending at all, but just remember, as a new investor, first you got to buy it right, and then you got to find the private lender, which is okay. I want you to do that. But you borrow the money, but that's non-recourse. Most people will go to a hard money lender, the one that wants you to guarantee the debt, the ones that are in the business of making loans, the ones who are going to set the terms and make, you know, like 1 year term. Man, there's no reason for that, because there's a whole society of people out there. When I teach you to get private money, it'll be from human beings that are not in the loan business. You make the rules, you decide what they are. They can live with it or you can move on. There's way more money chasing deals than there are deals chasing money. And there's more money around you that you never get to. But back to the point, you got to find that money in order to make this deal work, which is not bad, but it's still one of the problems with this plan. So I'm going to buy and then I'm going to rehab. Means I got to borrow the money to buy the house and rehab the house. And you darn sure better make sure you borrow more than that takes. You always borrow more than you need. Okay. Now I got to rehab the house. Wow. I can't think of a worse time in my 40 years to rehab a house than right now. Look, I want you to do rehabs. I teach rehabs. I like rehab, done over 1,000 rehabs. But right now we have a special group of problems that we haven't seen before. Number one is getting a contractor to the job. And number two, getting a price that you can live with, because the prices are going up so fast and they're continuing going up so fast that the cost of that rehab is going to be much more than you expect. And you know, I don't see that stopping anytime soon. But that's not even the biggest problem, because on the other hand, if I'm going to rehab a house, the value is going up simultaneously as well. So it's not the cost of the stuff, it's getting the contractor there, and then the time frame that it takes to get the contractor there today, and then the contract, and then the time it takes to get the materials to the site. We've never really had this problem before, but we do now. So rehabbing is a learned craft, and I'm not saying don't do it. A lot of my folks do it. I still do it occasionally, but it's not the same as it used to be. And for a beginner, it is absolutely a trap. It's could lead to an immediate disaster and take you out very, very quickly, because there's so many things that can go wrong. All right, but let's say we got through the rehab process, because even that's not my biggest concern. Okay, so I've bought it, I've funded it, and now I've rehabbed it. In my opinion, only a fool would put a tenant in a house. We don't put tenants in houses. We put tenant buyers in houses. We lease option the house. We don't just rent it. When I rent it, I can collect a month's rent and a deposit. I'm responsible for all of the repairs. I got a tenant with a tenant mindset. When I rent to own it, I get $20,000 or more for a non-refundable option deposit from the tenant buyer, who acts like a buyer, thinks like a buyer, and therefore will do their own repairs on the house at their own expense, part of my agreement, like a buyer does. In other words, if you want to be a buyer, then I'm going to treat you like a buyer. They have the right to buy the house, but they've given you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for that option and accepted the responsibility of doing the repairs. If they don't pay their rent, they will forfeit that option deposit. Part of the deal, signed off on in front of an attorney. Okay. I don't have a problem collecting rent from tenant buyers. Tenants, however, I've had hundreds of. I don't want any more. Okay. I want tenant buyers. Different human being, takes care of the house, does things that a house no tenant is going to do in a positive way. And when they leave, if they leave, they forfeit that deposit. That is your money. So you have gotten a bunch of money up front, which no tenant and no landlord is going to do. You've got no repairs along the way, which all landlords have to put up with. Don't rent the house, rent to own the house. But Ron, what if they buy? Well, don't worry about it, because most of them don't. And if they do, for crying out loud, take the long-term capital gain money and stick it in your pocket and go do something else with it. Of course, you don't need it to buy real estate, which is a big problem with that refinance part of this BRRRR thing. You go refinance a property, you're going to need, they're going to no more, they're going to give you the 80% of the value of the property. And then you got to hold it a while before they're going to give you that. But you've got to personally guarantee the debt. That is the big killer right there. That is the kiss of death. That is the number one biggest mistake you can make in this business, is personally guaranteeing debt. Believe me, I'll tell you. Number one, you risk your credit, assuming you have it. Number two, you risk your assets in case things don't go right. Think back to 2008, if you were around then. Things didn't go right. Trust me, I can testify to that. And then lastly, you risk your marriage, because trust me, you get yourself into a financial situation trying to do this BRRRR thing, your marriage is going to suffer, because everything suffers when your cash flow suffers. And it starts with something that leads to a divorce many times. Okay. So refinancing it means you go, you put up, you don't have to put up a down payment because you already own it, but you still only get a percentage. All right. So you pull out the cash. Now what are you going to do with the cash? I guarantee it's going to find a home somewhere. So your long-term debt you just created is going to result in a short-term disposition of this cash. And now what are you going to do? You got the property, you got a very small amount of equity in it. You're responsible for all of the repairs. And when the tenants move out, you still got to make your payment. You spent the cash elsewhere. You haven't properly prepared because you truly don't understand the math that goes into this business. And what you can see where I'm leading. Okay. I can't tell you how many empires I've seen topple just because people take the cash and go spend it, not knowing that the house is going to need that cash back sooner or later. It's not your money. You're just borrowing it from the house. Now, what happens when it's time to pay back that house and you don't have the money? It creates financial hardship and the bills don't get paid. The next thing you know, you decide, who am I going to pay this month and who am I going to have to put off? And many of you can totally relate to what I'm saying, both in your personal life and in your real estate life. But first of all, it's the personally guaranteed debt that I hate. It goes on your credit report and it goes on your financial statement. Now, my friends, how many of these personally guaranteed loans do you honestly think a lender is going to give you before they're going to cut you off at the knees? And I can tell you it's only a handful. Now what happens to your BRRRR plan? Now what do? The only way you know how to buy real estate is just caved in on you. And I'm telling you, they're all going to cut you off. And if you think, well, I got a good relationship with my banker. Oh, right. Okay. That's only going to last as long as times are good and until that bank sells to another bank. Believe me, I can testify to that. There's no such thing as a good relationship with a bank. Only maybe one person within that bank who really has no power at all. When you start guaranteeing debt, it's the beginning of the end unless you manage that whole situation right. And that's going to be very difficult to do with very little experience in the business. I've always said, do not guarantee debt, but prepare yourself to the time when you may choose to guarantee debt because the rewards are worth the risk. Sometime I'll tell you what happened to me in 2008 and why I preach so hard to stay out of personally guaranteed debt. Now, don't misunderstand me. I want you to go into debt. Millions and millions and millions of dollars of it, but not personally guaranteed debt. When I buy a house from a seller, I get it on terms. I do not guarantee the debt. I will not buy if I had to guarantee the debt. Therefore, I can buy millions of dollars worth of houses with nothing on my credit report, and personally guaranteed debt does not show on your financial statement either. And every time you go get a loan, you are becoming less and less lendable, not more lendable. Your lenders could care less about your equity. They're going to totally discard it because they know it can go away. I mean, they look back to 08. Here in Florida alone, we lost 40% of our market value of properties. I mean, like overnight. We got them back, but it took 10 years. In fact, it took 10 plus years. And we got them back plus now. But look how long it took. All right. There's no equity is a fleeting thing, and equity does not pay the bills, but your cash flow does. So when you get unsecured debt, the lender won't even know you own real estate if you do it right. And that means buy the property and report it all in one LLC. And the LLC has got its own tax return, and only one little K1, one sheet of paper, goes into your personal tax return. And anybody looking at your personal tax return don't even know what's in that LLC. They don't see the LLC tax return. So properly trained, properly prepared, and doing non-recourse debt, there's no limit to how many properties you can buy. There is always a limit to how much personally guaranteed debt you can get before the bank will cut you off. So now the refinance part is probably what really sticks in my crawl about this BRRRR thing. And if you buy it and you rehab it and you're in it and you don't refinance it, then you're not going to get paid. You're not going to get the cash out of it. You're not going to be able to pay off your private lender. And so the refinancing is the only way people know is go to the bank and get a loan, because that's what they hear all over the internet. Believe me when I tell you, a talking head on the internet can get you into more trouble than you can imagine if you take the wrong advice from the people who haven't been around long enough to experience the real world of real estate. So repeat, but don't repeat the financing part. And frankly, I find it so easy to go buy houses in excellent condition in excellent neighborhoods, requiring no private money, requiring no rehab. I'm not sure why I'd want to do it any other way, which is why 95% of my business today is the terms business, period. If you want to learn how to do it right, if you want to learn how to protect yourself, if you want to learn how to do it without risk, and if you want to learn how to make sure that nobody's ever going to come after your marbles, come see the old guy. Down below, you'll find a link that'll take you to my Quick Start Real Estate School. Okay, it's a 4-day event that I still personally teach because I choose to, because I love getting people headed in the right direction. And that's starting off making a big mess that they got to go clean up, have to start all over. And don't forget your brother in Washington, D.C. It's called the IRS. Okay, we better not forget them, because as you start making a lot of money, you better take care of them, because they're not going to forget that you exist. They're a partner that's not going to go away. So we got to put all this together and learn how to run a real estate business, manage it correctly, manage it without risk, maintain it, and then protect it from predators who want to take it away, because the bigger it gets, the more of them that are out there. So get out of the link and look, make a decision. Come see me. Look, I don't know how long I'm going to be teaching this event. You better take advantage of this old brain while you can. But I can tell you it's a life-changing event. Thousands and thousands and thousands of my students have turned into multi-millionaires because they started right here at this 4-day event. Won't you join us? Really, it's nothing more than getting the training and implementing it. And implementation comes with our training, and it's all there, plug and play. You step right in. In fact, you'll be implementing before you even get to the training, much less after you leave the training. So come learn how to do this business right. And frankly, it's a small amount of money, but it's a big investment in your future. Go down to the link right now and call my office if you need questions, and we'll finance you. So don't let anything stop you. We do it live and we do it virtual. And again, I still am there guiding you through every single step. And by the way, I'll have people in the room that have done it, have done very well at it, and will testify to you that no issue that you have in your mind right now is big enough that you can't get it through it, because they've all done it all over the country, all over North America for a lot of years now, a lot of years. I've been at this I'm in my 41st year. I've probably picked up a thing or two along the way that you need to know. Get down there to that link right now.